Hello guys, TavHD here and welcome back to another video, and today we'll be taking a look at what I've bought on eBay. Now I'm not exactly sure what I bought. It might be a Mac Pro or it might be a PowerMac G5. The title was for a vintage G5, however the pictures to me looked like a Mac Pro. Now if you know anything about these computers, you'll know that the Mac Pro has 2 optical drive bays while the G5 only has 1. Well, what is in front of me right now is what they sent. So if you can tell by that, you can see there is only 1 drive bay on there. But this is my own G5 that I've had for a number of years. What I actually received was that, and that is indeed a Mac Pro. So I do now own a Mac Pro. Now if you've ever had one of these shipped or know anything about someone who has had one of these shipped, as well as the G5, you'll know that these do not survive postage. They usually end up with their legs or handles popping off. Thankfully my G5, when I got that, was absolutely fine, and this is mostly fine. You might be able to tell there's a little bit of rocking in that. One of the feet is slightly wonky, but it's not too bad, so I should be able to fix that if this thing works. Now, why am I saying if this thing works? Well, it was listed as spares or repair, as well as having no hard drive in it, and I didn't know whether it was spares and repair because there is no hard drive, or there was something else wrong with it. So I took a bit of a gamble on this, not really knowing what I was getting, but for £40 I've got this, and it has actually arrived. It is absolutely disgusting. There's dirt all over it. I've not had a look inside yet, but I'm guessing that will be much the same. So I guess today we're going to try and work out what model we've got here and also see whether it works. So starting off on the front, we're just going to take a quick look around it. You can see 2 optical drive slots. That means it is indeed a Mac Pro. Now, it looks like it's had some damage here. The front is dented. Now, I didn't see this in the pictures, so I'm not sure whether this has happened in shipping or not. The box looked like it had enough protection around it, but who knows? So I'm not sure how I will be able to fix that. Hopefully I can, because it is stopping the slots from opening. So hopefully I can fix that. But of course there's no point. If this thing's completely dead, I might as well just sell it for parts myself and maybe get the 40 quid back. Who knows? But looking at the front here, very, very dirty here. We've got the power button, headphone jack, 2 USBs, Firewire 400 and 800. The fact that there's a Firewire 400 on here as well as an 800 means that this is one of the earlier cheese grater Mac Pros. I believe the 4,1 and the 5,1, so the 2009 to 2012, they had 2 Firewire 800s on it, so this is an early one. I believe this is a 3,1, which means it's 2008. I think from one of the pictures I could tell that this was an 8-core, which is pretty cool. Whether it is or not, I don't know. So hopefully this is an 8-core. It's a 2.8 gigahertz. I don't know if that's a quad or an 8. I couldn't tell. Hopefully this is indeed the 8-core though. So that's the front, looking very grubby and a bit dented. Hopefully that will all come up fine though. If I turn it around to the side here, you can see nice big Apple logo on the side. This thing is actually in pretty good condition for its age. If I say that this is a 2008, that means that this thing is about 13 years old now, which is quite impressive. And from the listing it said that this was used in some sort of visual effects studio or something like that, so I'm not exactly sure how they don't know it's a Mac Pro, but oh well, I think if I'd owned a machine for such a long time, I would actually know what it was. But who cares? I got this for a very good price. Let's just hope that it does actually work. Turning it round to the back here, we can see our selection of ports. So starting at the top, that is where the power supply is. In the G5s, that is at the bottom. If we move it down a little bit to there, we can see our graphics card outputs. There are two DVIs on here, and I can now actually see the specifications listed on here, so we will look at that in a moment. But we've got some expansion bays here. It looks like all the covers are present, not completely held in, but that doesn't matter. And of course here is the latch for the side door. These are always very satisfying, and there is also a Kensington lock on there as well, so people can't steal your Mac Pro. Moving it down a bit further, this is an exhaust fan here, 3 USBs, Firewire 400, Firewire 800, optical audio in and out, and then standard in and out, as well as 2 Ethernets down there as well. Now, a drawback of these Mac Pros, all the cheese grater ones, and in fact probably the trash cans as well, not many USB ports, and especially on these ones it's a bit of a problem because they're all USB 2, but thankfully it isn't too hard to find a Mac compatible PCI card to add USB 3, so if this works we may do some upgrading in the future. But this is what I am most interested in. That is the model sticker. So there's some boring stuff there, but then there is also some good stuff which I want to see too. So that says 2.8, 8 core, 2 times 1 gigabyte, 320 gigabyte, and 2600 XT. So that means we do have 8 cores at 2.8 gigahertz. I believe that is 2 4-core Xeons. We've got 2 gigabytes of RAM, 2 1 gigabyte sticks, a 320 gigabyte hard drive, apart from this one doesn't have one, but it would have had that originally, and also 2600 XT refers to the graphics card, which we can see there. So this does confirm what I thought when I bought it and looked at a very grainy picture. This is indeed an 8-core Mac Pro. I believe it's a 2008, I'm pretty sure that's the only year they did a 2.8 gigahertz 8-core variant, so hopefully that is what it is. On the top is a bit of evidence that this probably was used in a workplace. There is an electrical safety sticker on here, which is quite cool, and there is also one on the power cable. This came with an original Apple power cable, which is pretty cool because they sit flush into the back here and look really nice. Okay, so I think what we'll do next is take the side panel off and take a look inside. Now, since this was sold as not working for all I know, something could be missing from inside or something could be completely dead. The CPUs might be missing. I've got no way of knowing until I take this panel off. So I'm going to undo the latch just like that, and we should now be able to take the side panel off. And well, it looks like everything's in there, but that is dirty, and there's also dirt all over there as well. But there is a nice little picture on there which tells you how to take out the RAM cards. I'm not exactly sure how well this will show up on camera, but inside here is absolutely repulsive. I'm not going to touch anything in here, and it's probably not too much of a good idea to try turning this on in its current state. It's probably fine, but I'm not too sure. But at the same time, I don't really want to go in there. It looks like I could catch a disease. This is probably the dirtiest computer I've ever seen, and I'm not exactly well known for keeping mine clean, but mine look immaculate compared to this. So I'm guessing this has probably been used since 2008 until probably quite recently without ever being cleaned. It looks like it was just booted up every day, used, and then never had any maintenance done. That is not a pleasant looking machine, so I think there'll be a designated video all about cleaning this thing in the not too distant future, because this is not very nice. I'm guessing when I turn this on, all the dirt is going to blast out the back of there. Alright, so I've now moved location somewhere where I can set up the computer as well as a monitor. I've actually got my cinema display out. I'll point up at that once we turn this on, but I'm now going to turn on the power to the computer, and hopefully nothing will set on fire. So there's no point really pondering over this, so let's just press the power button and see what happens. Now of course there is no hard drive in it, so I'm not expecting it to boot into an OS, but I'd like to see if we even get as far as a blinking question mark on a folder, because that is usually a good sign. So let's press the button. Don't know if you heard that, but there was just a bong, and there is now a white screen on the cinema display. There is no OS, so I'm not sure what it's going to find, but if it knows there isn't an operating system, we should just get the blinking folder. So if we get to that, that is a good sign. There we go, it knows. So what I've done is I've got the hard drive out of the 2012 Mac Mini. Now this has a partition for Mountain Lion as well as one for Catalina. Catalina is too new to natively run on this machine, but hopefully we should be able to boot into the Mountain Lion partition. Mountain Lion should run on here just fine. So I am going to plug this in via USB just into one of the ports. Now of course this will run slowly because not only is it a hard drive, it's also connected over USB 2, so this will be slow. I have just plugged it in, so let's see if it can automatically detect it and then boot. If not, I might have to just restart the machine. Either way, this should work. So I am now just restarting the Mac, and hopefully it should find the hard drive and boot to it. I heard a bong again, so hopefully we should now get an Apple logo. There we go, it's found the drive. Now it may boot just fine, but there might be some little problem which rendered this unusable, and that's why it went up for sale. I really don't know, so I guess we will just have to see how this goes. It may be too early to say this, but I am actually quite hopeful. We do now have the spinning wheel. Now I have always wanted a Mac Pro. Now this might be one of those situations where it's best not to meet your idol, but hopefully it's not. I've always wanted one of these machines, and hopefully this will be a good one. And we are at the Mac Mini login screen. Of course it says Mac Mini because that's what I named the account, but this is now booting off the Mac Pro. I do have a keyboard and mouse connected, so let's just log in and see what happens. And just like that, we're at the Mountain Lion desktop. Wow, it's actually working, despite being sold as not working and despite being filled with absolutely horrible dust. So let's go into About This Mac and make sure that I'm correct with what I think this thing is. Let's zoom in. There we go. About This Mac, that is the latest version of Mountain Lion. Processor 2 times 2.8 GHz quad-core Intel Xeon. So yes, we do have 2 quad-core processors, so this is indeed an 8-core Mac Pro. Now here it says we have 2 GB of 800 MHz DDR2, so that is standard. And let's go into more info here, and there we go. It knows it's a Mac Pro. That is the same, and the graphics card here is what it says on the label, a 2600 XT. Not a particularly capable card these days, and if I do want to use a patcher to get Catalina on here or another modern operating system, this will need upgrading. We will need a card with metal support. There is the serial number, and there is the software version. Going to displays, it's recognizing my cinema display just fine. In terms of storage, it is showing up the boot drive, which I am using, as well as the super drive. So we do have a super drive in here. I'm not going to try and use it because it won't open, because the drive is stuck shut. And over to memory, we have 2 1 GB sticks. So I was just thinking, when I had this open, I'm sure I saw more than 2 sticks of RAM in there, and I've just checked again. There is definitely more than 2. So this should be showing up as 6 gigabytes of 800 megahertz DDR2. So I'm guessing maybe one of the RAM cards isn't in all the way. Maybe it's failed, maybe the RAM's failed, I'm not too sure, but I'm just guessing a bit of dust has got on the connection, which is definitely more than likely, and that is stopping one of the cards being recognised. Hopefully once this thing is cleaned up, we should get all the RAM. So I think that is where I'm going to leave it for today's video. This is indeed a Mac Pro, not a G5, and it is an 8-core 2008, and so far it seems to be working just fine. Apart from that, not all the RAM being detected issue, I can't see any problems with it. Now of course I can't really troubleshoot it in the operating system that well because I'm running off an external drive with an install which wasn't even intended for this machine. So in another video in the future I will be installing an SSD into this, as well as installing El Capitan, which is the latest OS this can natively run. Then in the future I may upgrade the graphics card and then upgrade the operating system even further. So if that is something you would like to see, please do leave a like and do subscribe, it really does help. Thank you for watching this video. Hopefully it was interesting in some way. I'm definitely very happy with what I've got, and you will see more of it in the future. So thank you for watching and goodbye.